Hello and welcome to another segment of Supreme Feminine Essence. I'm Mia Saenz, your host, and with me this segment is Linnea Duvall. Welcome, Linnea.
Hi, Mia.
Hi.
So good to be here.
I'm so glad to have you. Linnea is a therapist and also, get this ladies and gents, because she makes a men's bag too, she's a handbag designer.
Yes.
She's friggin' awesome and quite empowered. So I'm going to have Linnea start out with her story, which is her journey on where she got to in this place in life, and then we'll get into our conversation.
Okay. I think sometimes it's very easy to forget that our story can truly be what empowers us. It can truly be what guides us if we continue to use it as a source. I grew up in a really, really, really tiny community and village. I mean, it was in the most recent census, it was called a hamlet, which means there's not only no red light, there's not even a four-way stop sign. So no four-way stop sign. The center road goes straight through.
It's amazing.
And highly religious community. Pretty much one step off Amish. And my father and my mother were both probably more freethinkers than most of the people in the church, or at least were open to expanding the borders a bit more. And my father, God bless him, did this amazing thing, and ultimately it was a tragic error if he wanted to keep me in that community. He took me to hear Norman Vincent Peale when I was 8 or 9 years old. 9 or 10. Right in there. Very impressionable. At that age, you still believe everything your daddy tells you. You know, he walks on water for the most part, blah, blah. And certainly that was true for me. My daddy was it at that time. So he took me to hear this nice man, and I'm in the third or fourth row at the Harrisburg Forum, and this nice man in a gray suit and a red tie and perfect little spectacles and gray hair, you know, he comes out on stage, and my daddy has told me this is a really important man and what he says is really good and really a big deal. And this nice man comes out on stage and says, you can do anything you want. You can do anything you want. You put your mind to it, you put your work into it, but the power of positive thinking is Norman Vincent Peale. You think your way into pretty much whatever you want. Okay, handled. I have no questions about it. I have no doubts about it. I have no filters about it. I'm 9 years old. I got it. So in 6th grade, my mother made the next tragic error. she was a nurse, which was already far outside the realm of what you should be in that background. It was the brethren in Christ. So she had to go up against her father to become a nurse. And she brings home an American Girl magazine from the cart that went around where you could buy things. And there was a model on the front of the American Girl magazine. And till the day I die, I will remember exactly what she had on. It was a Loden green matching outfit, and she had on white go-go boots. And she was sort of perched, kneeling on a big old country stone wall. And I remember looking at that photo and saying, that will be me. That will be me. I am going to do that. Because I was already really tall and skinny and lanky in 6th grade. So I was getting made fun of a lot for being that, because I'm growing up with country girls who were already curvy.
Right.
And I was not. So I remember thinking, well, fine. I'm tall and skinny and all that, and I'll just make money that way, because I'm going to be that. Mm-hmm. And within a few weeks, I guess somebody said something to me about, well, when you go to the college that was the Brethren in Christ College, sort of in our backyard, when you go there, you'll understand something. And I remember saying very distinctly, oh, I'm not going to go there. Now I'm in 6th grade. I'm not going to go there. They said, what? Where do you think you're going to go? And I said, oh, I'm going to go to New York City. I said, yeah, I'm going to go to New York City. And they said, well, what exactly do you think you're going to do there? I said, oh, I'm going to model. It was a whole religious community.
You little heathen.
Started early, what can I say? So I said, no, I'm going to go to New York City, I'm going to model. And it was, I mean, clearly, I was the very oddball out, because the response from the table was, we don't do that. We don't do that. Our people don't do that. We don't do that. You're not going to do that. We don't do that. You're not going to do that. And I think that each time I heard you're not going to do that, it was like, yep, I am. You watch me. And I remember saying, yeah, well, I'm going to do that, because that's what I want to do. So thank you, and could you pass the potatoes?
Yeah.
It was that handled. It was just like, I'm doing it. Now, as Norman Vincent Peale said in that lovely program that evening, you have to work to get there. But when you have that clear a decision, that's what I'm going to do, you pretty much make all your decisions around that. So let's take a long, fun story, make it short. High school was amazing. High school was great. Everything I did in high school was to get me to New York City. So in 6th grade, my parents thought it was ridiculous. Probably around 8th or 9th grade, they were miles from Muse, I was still thinking. Grade, they were annoyed.
Yeah.
And my senior year in high school, when I have now applied to a college in New York and been accepted and heading to New York City, they're flat out angry. Angry. And so I go to New York, and again, long story, very fun, long story short. At the age of 21, I was a full masthead, on the masthead editor at Vogue magazine.
Which is amazing.
It was. It
Yeah.
was crazy. It
Yeah.
was crazy. And to be really, really clear about this, if you've seen the movie The Devil Wears Prada, I was the Anne Hathaway character about a decade earlier.
Yeah.
Anne was not the editor-in-chief at that time. It was Grace Mirabella. And my first boss at Vogue magazine, honestly, will to this day tell you, you had on the worst dress I had ever seen in my life. And you were smart, and I knew you were ambitious, so I could train you. So there you have it. That's the story of from getting out of that little town to Vogue magazine, and then from there, given I'd managed that, and nice Mr. Norman Vincent Peale, when I was 9, had told me you can do anything, I sort of said that's what I think I'll do. So every 3 to 5 years, I'd kind of do, what do I want to do next?
Yeah.
And then I'd just go do it. So everything from editor at Vogue, national spokesperson for a bunch of different companies, corporate. I left Vogue magazine, which is unheard of, but I left Vogue magazine and went to Glamour magazine, and did the fashion and beauty makeover classes all across the country.
Wow.
So most of everything I've ever done is always trying to be about contributing, and in particular contributing to women, because I know what it was like to be raised in that background, where women, women's rights and women's voices were not supposed to be heard as much. And I like doing things with women. As I have left corporate and left all of that, when I was done having fun going, what do I want to do next? I said, all right, it's probably time to give back. And I went back to school, got my master's degree in psychology, and became a licensed marriage family therapist. And I specialize in teenagers, adolescents, and their parents. And the name of my whole concept is navigating adolescence.
That's amazing. I wish I knew you, years before when my children, I recognized early on that I had to recognize their soul and love their soul instead of love all the little or be angry at all the little miscellaneous things. And I believe they're not like they didn't take the path of other children, and I don't care. But they're incredibly amazing. So I love what you're doing, because being a parent is the most beautiful, gratifying gift there is, truly. I mean, there's so many beautiful gifts in life, but this is one of them.
That certainly is one.
Yeah.
I personally am not a parent, but that, I believe, is what helps me be very objective about teenagers when I deal with parents, because they can't see neither party can see the forest for the trees.
Right.
And I was a very, very angry teenager. There was nothing to do to act out. I was in the middle of the country, middle of nowhere.
But you were told at every turn you couldn't do anything by your family, and you're like, yes, I can.
Watch me. So, I understand, parents are scared, teenagers are angry, and if there are younger children in the family, they're just confused, because all of a sudden their big brother or sister has turned into this new creature called
Right, yeah.
And it's just, I love what I do. I love it. So it's parenting classes, and I'll work one-on-one with teenagers if that's necessary.
And you also do self-esteem and self-care.
Yes, self-esteem and self-care workshops for women of every age. And I particularly find it highly valuable to work with mothers so that they can not only raise their own self-esteem, but raise daughters and sons with a deep, solid base of self-esteem that, particularly in this town where I live, Los Angeles, self-esteem is not based on your things.
Right, right. Yeah. I was born and raised in LA, and I truly wish that my mother was aware of this, because I never had the support, and that's why I'm a self-love teacher, because I had to learn. I started at 25. I've been at this 25 years. I should have started earlier, but I was on it's crazy, because I was on a path of just religion and getting through. I hadn't had my children yet. I was married for 7 years by the time I did my change, but it's really crazy when you don't have that support. Because
it's unbelievable.
You don't know what to do with your life. I feel like I started late in life because I had to re-raise myself. So it's vital that parents teach their parents alone, women. We know, or at least I felt, my real first power came when I gave birth to my children. I felt so empowered. Nobody would touch my children like I was hurt, and and what an amazing responsibility. But I didn't know, just like every other parent, what the hell to do besides read a book and love your child, Look in their eyes when you're feeding them, show them the affection and the attention.
Well,
what you're doing is amazing, because...
Right there is cute. Go ahead. What am I...
Just right there, what you're doing is amazing, because as a mom, I understand that we can get lost as they start to progress. As they start to walk, you get lost, You really do.
Then they turn into some new creature.
They do, and you're like, what?
Well, and I have, parents that, I have a great example of a relationship I was in where there was an absolutely fabulous young son. And round about 12, we wanted him to do a particular chore that he clearly did not want to do, and it, tones got a little sharp and things got a little, get the stuff. And the next thing I knew, I was calling him and couldn't get an answer. And I thought, somebody we know has bolted out the door. Just out the door. Smart enough to not slam it. Most kids slam the door to make sure you know they're going out the door. And I went to his father and I said, I can't find so-and-so. I think he's bolted out the door. Now remember, Dad has had his child from birth till now, so all those years when they're pliable, Dad said, so-and-so would never do that. My so-and-so would never do that. And I was like, okay.
Where is he?
Okay, I'll wait about 3 to 4 minutes and see if I hear him or find him or when he comes around. And then I'll go have Dad look for him. So 3 or 4 minutes went by, no sound, and I said, why don't you go look for him? I don't think he's in the house. I think he has bolted out the door. So-and-so would never do that. Okay, go look for him. He came back with the stunned expression on his face. He said, he's not in the house. He's not in the house anywhere. He's not out in the backyard. He's not anywhere. I was like, yeah. He's bolted out the door and he's stomping around somewhere.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing that parents are all of a sudden like, my child would never do that. No, your 8 or 9 or 10-year-old would never do that. Your 12, 13, 14-year-old, yes. They're not ever going to be that 8, 9, or 10-year-old again.
Right.
So starting with the self-love at 8, 9, and 10 helps children learn when they're in the brain development and insanity that can be teenage years. It helps them learn to make really powerful choices that are safer for them than they might normally do. So self-love is important to start with.
It is.
From the get-go.
I love your sign. I can see it. I'm hoping that it's not cut off in the editing. above the door next to the armoire that says "Don't piss off the queen." And I've been in your office, and so I've seen it in person because I also love your handbags and own some. So talk to us about that.
Don't piss off the queen. Well, that's sort of the very high-end British way of saying, if Mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy.
Yeah.
So Daddy's going to make Mama happy tonight. Women are the heart, hearth, and home of a family and of life. And I think one of the best parts about having Don't Piss Off the Queen up in my office is when I'm doing a parenting class with mothers, with moms. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows when mom's mad. You know, there's a whole mom's mad. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows when mom's mad. Nobody's happy, nobody's at peace, nobody's okay. In the best of families with really great relationship between mom and dad, if dad is mad, mom will usually be somebody who's like the oil on the water. You know, she'll be able to sort of smooth things out. So when a mom who is the queen in the home, when she knows what her boundaries are, when she knows what is useful and supportive and purposeful for the family and their well-being, you don't want to piss that off. And you just really don't, because that's who's keeping the balance. And so it's important for a mom, a mother, a woman to know what are her boundaries as a queen. What does she need and want to be supported? How does she go about getting that? How does she guarantee that that's there? So I talk to the moms, first of all, about knowing how to not get, knowing what will really piss them off. Mm-hmm. And being clear about it, not bitchy about it, but just clear. Mm-hmm. And then the rest of the family working together to keep that going.
Right.
Don't piss off the queen. If a woman is clear about the things that will support her and give her the best energy and the best life and the best joy, to do everything from feed her family, to guide them, to be part of what makes things fun, that's what makes things sing. Mm-hmm. And if she knows what those boundaries are and is clear about them, and is very clear about maintaining them, everyone benefits. Mm-hmm. So
I also like your sign, and I want to add to it, because I know I want that in my house too. Don't piss off the queen, or she won't sing.
There you have it.
Exactly.
Yeah. She won't sing, she won't cook,
she won't
a lot of things.
She won't be. That's great. Let's talk again quickly about why it's important to teach teenagers to be empowered women and to embrace their feminine beauty.
It's the most formative years. It's the second time in a human being's life that is the most formative time in terms of their brain development. At 3 years of age, your brain kind of goes on steroids, and all the tendrils in the brain that go looking for answers and then attach to where the best answer is in the brain, they quadruple at 3 years of age.
Wow.
And those answers, what they're laying down, are the tracks in the brain that are about survival. Mm-hmm. How do I get food? How do I get water? How do I stay safe? Who do I depend on? Mm-hmm. How am I going to get through the night? That's the survival stuff at 3 years of age. Who do I go to? Who do I depend on? Who do I not depend on? And they're picking all that up from their parents. 11, 12, 13 on till about 21. Mm-hmm. The brain has also done a quantum, all those tendrils are quantum sized. I mean, there's the multiplication of them is astonishing. Mm-hmm. Because they're now learning how to survive in society. Mm-hmm. What are the rules that keep me alive out there? Mm-hmm. Survival is, how do I stay alive in here? Inside this home, inside the,
right.
world. Out there, it's how do I maneuver this societal world, this civilization that's outside the doors of my home. So the brain is on a constant search for answers, constant search for answers. And so what you're telling them goes in far more deeply than it does if you tell a 32-year-old. This is when their behavioral facts get laid down.
Wow.
And if you're not teaching self-esteem, they don't know where to find it.
Exactly.
And they'll go find it among peer groups, which you have no idea what their idea of self-esteem is. What if it's, God knows, we know how much different things there are out there that they can find their self-esteem with. But if both men and women are not taught self-esteem in their teenage years, and self-esteem around what makes you lovely, not you live in this house, or you have these clothes, or you have this jewelry, or you have that hair or this face. Those are all lovely advantages. But what at the end of the day has you love you?
There are innate qualities.
Yes.
And also it goes along with the gifts you're born with, because really they're the gifts we're born with that need to be embraced and nurtured.
And thought about and identified and made okay.
Yeah.
There's a YouTube interview up that one of my dearest friends from high school, her daughter did a mother and daughter tour where she was writing a book and she wanted to interview mothers and daughters and find out what it was like to get through the teenage years. And one of the things that I talked about is lack of self-esteem crosses generations, and it continues to repeat itself. So if a mother does not have a deep core of joy and love for herself, she can fall into being highly critical of her daughter and son. But worse than that, competitive.
I had that, and it was not fun because I wanted mommy. I didn't care about that her boyfriends thought that I was beautiful, and I never heard it from her, so I didn't think I was.
Yeah.
If
a mother is not really in love and calm and at peace about all the wonderful attributes she brings to the table and really embraces them and loves herself and loves them, she has a very difficult time giving that to her daughter. And the worst part of it, the very worst fallout, is if she is either A, jealous of her daughter, and then B, competitive with her daughter about attention and looks and all of that, instead of joyous about sharing, aren't we lucky? Or
exactly. Yeah.
Just the worst.
Yeah.
Just the worst.
It is. It totally is. You brought up a lot of amazing points there. One thing I wanted to say was, wow, 3 years old. That's so mind-blowing because we're so fragile in this temple of ours that we reside in, our body. We're so fragile and so delicate, and those years, early years were just a nightmare for my upbringing. No wonder. No wonder I was often in survival mode until I discovered how to not be, not want it, not be, a change. It was amazing. I never realized until 5 years ago that I had an abandonment issue. Because when you're upset and somebody leaves you or somebody dies, you don't know unless you actually can face it. And that's the beauty of looking at, well, actually I learned that long before, but looking at the big picture and saying, wow, okay. And sometimes it takes a therapist like you to say, all right, so it appears that you're experiencing abandonment issues.
Right.
Where does this go back to? Bingo! And that's what I do with my clients too, though. We work through their whole system of, during their intake, and it's getting to the root of those childhood rearings of how we were raised, because to re-raise us is what is pivotal.
Re-raising ourselves.
Exactly.
Live into one of my favorite phrases on the planet. It's never too late to have a happy childhood. It's just never too late to have a happy childhood.
Are you a Peter Pan fan?
No. I'm a fan of... Actually, I can tell you one of the things that I prescribe and subscribe to clients often is the artist's way.
Yeah.
Just to get back in touch with, what did you like? Did you like blowing bubbles? Did you like coloring? Did you like pretty colors?
It's so funny. Some LA actresses that I was doing a group class with, they're like, oh my God, this, because they were also doing the Artist Way, and they're like, this is a lot like the Artist Way, your curriculum. And I'm like, well, I've done the Artist Way, and I don't see that, but thank you. She's it's highly successful. Thank you.
Well, I did something talking about the feminine power and how important it is. I have a really dear girlfriend, very high-powered businesswoman. Go, 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 charge, charge, charge.
A little masculine on it.
She's like highly charged. And she was out here for the Memorial Day weekend, and I said, for these 3 days, you are going to just relax. We're going to talk through all the things that you have coming up, but we're going to do it in a really easy way. It's going to be gentle. It's going to be fun. We're going to walk on the beach. We're going to soak up the sun. We're going to ride the carousel, da-da-da-da-da. And so we're walking on the beach one day, and we get up to the Santa Monica Pier. And I said, now we're going to go up the stairs and go to the pier. And she said, why? Why are we doing that? And I said, why? And I was just like, oh, my goodness. First of all, I think one of the hardest things in feminine power and being really feminine is to receive and not have to be in charge of it. So I said, we're walking up on the pier because I want to. Yeah, okay, go. We're walking on the pier, we get across, we get to the carousel, and we walk in, and I said, we walked up on the pier because we're going to ride the carousel. And she said, oh my God, I thought you were joking. I thought you were joking. And I said, I'm serious as a heart attack. Carousel. And I got her up, she got on the horse of the carousel, and the next thing you know, she's like,
you're having fun.
Smile. And I said, I'm taking your photo on the carousel. She said, you are not. I said, oh, yes, I am. I took the photo of her on the carousel, and she immediately said, you have to send this to me because I have to send this to my entire family. They would be in shock that I was doing something so fun. Feminine power comes from joy and having fun. Because when you are fulfilled and having joy and fun, you can bring it to everyone else.
Absolutely. Let's talk about another fun aspect that you brought into your life some years back, and that's your handbag line, which is amazing. And I want us to show people how incredible this is, but briefly tell, because we are out of time, but we're going to keep going. Briefly tell us, because the amazing thing about this is this, I thought, okay, ladies and gentlemen, here's the handbag that I bought from Linnea. It has her, she'll tell you briefly about the special tags. It's all designer, incredible. It's gorgeous. I saw it on her, and that's how we met, was I molested her for her stuff. And then I had her on my...
She got it was fabulous. Where did you get that?
I know. And then the universe was in play for sure, because it was like a Saturday, and then...
it was Sunday.
It was a Sunday. And Monday, the next day, my guest had called in sick, and so I was like, okay, I'm just going to do a rerun, and I'm like, I have to have you on. I'm booked for over 3 months. Please come on. So this incredible bag that looks like this one, I say, people stop me all the time, and it looks like it's like a metal flower design on this particular bag, and leather. It's gorgeous. It looks like this. There's another one that I'm going to be picking up from Linnea that looks like dragon skin. It's incredible. So you tell us what these are actually made of, which is so cool, which is why I jumped on it, because they are 100...
Every one of these is used soda can tabs.
Pop tops.
So it's upcycling. It's not just recycling, it's upcycling, taking something used and throwaway trash and upcycling it into something beautiful. So this is the strap, but here's this bag.
And I want that purse too, not just my square one, but this one.
This one's a little bit different. This one has a little bit more of what this is, which everyone says, a lot of people won't know what it is even after they touch it, because they'll think, wow, that's really thick, really fine leather, and it's used inner tubes.
That's washed 3 times to make it not smell. It's incredible.
It's amazing. My guy who helps me, who manufactures these, says, Senora Linnea, you do not know. When we first get these inner tubes, they smell like a beast. 3 times.
They do smell like a beast.
They smell like a beast.
Yeah.
But this is all inner tube.
Yeah. It's incredible. You know, I am stopped literally, and just like you, I am stopped literally at least once every time I wear my handbag. If not more, Linnea gave me cards to give to people, and I hope I've been a good spokesperson for it because
I'm sure you have.
you know, even guys, they'll stop me and they're like, "That's incredible," and I'm like, and they make them. She makes, you know, she has a men's messenger bag. It's really cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
The men's messenger bag is fabulous. That shows on the website. I have one other that I wanted to show you that I think is just one of the coolest things out there. This is all...
My girlfriend bought that from you, remember?
Yes.
Jody? Yes.
All soda can pads. Can you believe that?
It's amazing.
I love this. Here's one of the other really best things about this piece. It's a tote. It's large. I use it as my carry-on bag for the airport. It's aluminum. So it goes right through security. It's no metal, no problem. You just whoop, you know, so there's no problem with the metal. It's aluminum, so it's lightweight. It's great. In terms of the feminine of it, it's so great because
it's a perfect balance. Don't you think?
Being a therapist is a lot about your brain. It's a whole lot of brain. It's a whole lot of thinking with your client, thinking for solutions, thinking what could possibly have happened if they would be there, thinking with them, thinking through, thinking. And so now all of a sudden I have this, it's creative and it's fun and it's beneficial because Latin American women earn a fair trade wage and 5% of the proceeds go to something called Women's Earth Alliance. And another 5%, I haven't set it up yet, but we're this far from it, another 5% goes to Boys and Girls Club of America. So there's global contribution and local contribution.
That's wonderful. Now let's talk briefly about your free gifts, because you're offering two, which is so generous of you. Thank you. And I'll just tell everybody, in case they have not seen some other summits, the credits will be on at the end, and so that's how you can get in touch with Linnea or any of the experts. So take it away, babe.
I'd like to give two different time segments, 30 minutes each, but certainly 30 minutes to someone who would very much like to talk about their own self-esteem issues, anything from their past, anything that is really haunting them, troubling them, or what they might want to do next to bring out their more feminine power and their more feminine self-esteem at whatever age they are. I don't think that, until it's addressed, it doesn't go away. So,
no, it doesn't.
30 minutes, and this could be by telephone anywhere in the country, or in person here if it's in...
Or on Skype, right?
Or on Skype, yes. Yeah, I love Skype.
Yeah, me too. That's how I do all my clients.
Clearly. So 30 minutes towards self-esteem, feminine empowerment, feminine growth, that type of thing. But another separate gift, but 30 minutes as well, for any parent that would like to call up and say, help!
That's totally awesome.
You know, a particular issue or the overall issue with a teen. And over here where I live, teenagers are anything from 11 to 18, 19.
Yeah.
11 years old is when you want to start dealing with this.
Yeah.
12 is when it really hits. But when I worked with at-risk teens, if you caught them in the age range of 11 to 12, 11 to 13, 11 to 13, you had a far better chance of completely shifting that behavior that was already showing up.
Yeah.
14 to 16 was like,
like pulling teeth.
13 to 15, 14 to 16, you were in dicey ground.
Yeah.
16 and older was really, really a rough go. So there's 30, however, it can still be done. So there's a 30-minute segment, 30-minute free consultation for parents of teens who are, they want a little direction, they want to ask a particular question about one aspect of behavior, whatever. Yeah.
That's incredible. Thank you. One more thing. Can I suggest that if somebody's child is going through puberty young, like at 9 or 10, to also reach out, because I went through puberty at 9. My older son went through puberty at 9. My other son didn't go till he was like 15 or 16. So my older son had an he didn't know what the hell was going on with him at all. In fact, when he came to me to tell me, well, something private, I'm like, you got to talk to your dad about that. And I've always been open, but, you know, it was regarding male reproductive stuff. So I'm like, talk to your dad about that because, I didn't know first of all, I was shocked and I didn't want to be shocked and I didn't want, so.
Sometimes moms have to remember that their best role is to say, that you talk to your father about.
Well, thank you. I did the right thing.
Yeah, and then you sit down with Dad.
Yeah.
As the mom, you sit down with Dad and say, let's decide together how we're going to address this, and let's decide what you're going to talk about, but you're the one.
Also, as a mom, let me also just say, when you do tell your child to go to father, dad, whatever you call him, also let the child know that they can still come to you for anything. I didn't restate that, and I noticed that my relationship slightly shifted because he started to grow, and I guess he thought, I guess I got to go to dad, and I can't really talk to dad too well, so. So wonderful. One last thing that you want to share with the audience from your heart.
It's a privilege to be a woman. It's a privilege. And that's a very hard thing to remember some days when your nail polish is chipped and you've got a bad hair day or, some all that insane stuff that's around our beauty or our femininity. But it's a privilege to be a woman. That took me many, many years to learn because the other thing my father did was raise me to be a guy.
Wow.
I was raised like a boy. I was raised to be a boy, think like a boy, be tough like a boy, the whole thing. And honestly, learning to be receptive, learning to receive, and learning to even just ask for help was nearly impossible. But when I finally learned it, I thought, it really is a privilege to be a woman, and it's a privilege to bring the kind of joy and centeredness and beauty of our surroundings, beauty of our own self to the world and to our homes and to people. And I have one client that really had been punished a lot for being beautiful. Too long a story, but from a very religious, very conservative background, being beautiful was
too showy.
It was a liability. It was not. And one day she came in and she was like, God, I'm so tired. Everybody looks at me and it's, oh, God, what are you doing? Just not look like this. And I said, how about we try this? Just do this. Tomorrow and every day until you come back here, at least 3 times a day, smile. Just smile at someone. Just look up and smile. I don't think women realize how much just their genuine offer of openness and a smile can make a difference in a lot of people's lives. And she came back the following week and said, people were so nice to me when I smiled. And I said, in what way were they nice? And she said, it wasn't that weird kind of skanky hit on me stuff. They just kind of, they just brightened up.
Exactly.
So there's always going to be some yahoo who's going to hit on you if you smile, but they're going to hit on you whether you smile or not. But it's a privilege to be a woman.
And ladies, it is a privilege. Remember to smile at each other. When I'm smiled at by a beautiful woman, when our eyes meet and they smile and I smile back, I glow inside because, as Linnea said, that woman was sweet and loving. I enjoyed her beauty. I enjoy everybody's beauty, even if by whatever social standards are not as lovely as somebody else. When you learn to not accept that and not to see that, you see people's souls. Everybody's beautiful. Everybody. So
I think
let's all smile.
Yeah, some of my dearest friends, female friends, are as a result of me stepping out and saying, you look so beautiful today. Whatever it is you chose to wear, you should do this more often.
That's the sisterhood. We have to support each other. And there's so much glory in the sisterhood and connection. And we grow so amazing inside and blossom. It's beautiful. Thank you, Linnea. This was awesome having you on.
Thank you, Mia. This was great. I love talking about these things.
Yeah, and all your topics totally rocked. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. We'll see you all in the next segment. Thank you for joining us. Bye.
Bye.